Hey guys, how's it going today? Today we're going to be replacing the heater blower on a 79 K10 Chevy because this thing's cold-blooded and every time I go to start it, now it doesn't do it. There it goes. It's a little rough. As you can hear, it is very rough. It shouldn't be off right now. But if you got a cold-blooded vehicle, and you're trying to listen and make sure it's where it's idling, because I don't have a tack in this thing, that can be a very big problem, or at least annoying one. All right, so let's get started. All right, so what you're going to need is a 1/4-inch socket and a 9/32 socket to do this, and whatever method of removal. I guess you really don't need sockets if you want to do this with a wrench. So you're going to want to unplug it. The power is down here. Remove the power, and you got a drain tube. Now I'm not sure if the non-AC vehicles have a drain tube or not, but anyways, remove that. Then take off the wires there. Hopefully my hands don't get in the way a whole bunch. Another optional thing you may want to do, which I will do on this truck, is to clean up the grounds. Here are your grounds I'm removing right now with the 9/32 socket, which there's no washer. Pick up the wires, scoot them aside. I'm going to place the screws on the front of my truck. So I'm going to go ahead and go to town here on removing this. Let's keep the wires out of the way. Now, I've always wondered why this blower motor has made this noise. It has made this noise since I bought it, and that's been since, oh, it's probably been 5 years or so now. Let's set these screws down real quick. Hardest one's going to be that bottom one. So I'll go ahead and start on that. Should have grabbed a short socket, I guess. Yep. Or a flexible extension. Flexible extension would probably work pretty good too. Really hoping that socket isn't just turning. Nope. That's always a pain when you get in a tight spot. Let's get these wires out of the way again. And you're sitting there trying to crank on the ratchet, and the ratchet's not ratcheting, and you're just moving the bolt or screw or whatever you're taking out with the ratchet back and forth, and you sit there for 2 or 3 minutes going, okay, why isn't this moving any? And you realize you aren't getting past the little catch on the ratchet mechanism. Still a little too tight. Let's see if I can just get it. Or if you drop your socket, that's super annoying too. Let's see if I can get back on it here. Usually when I do stuff, I try to start with the hardest. I didn't this time. I should have. screws out. Get it in may be fun. This one should. The ratchet's not cooperating now. I've always been a fan of Craftsman because that's what I've been able to afford most of my life. But I tell you what, this line of ratchets really stinks. I've had a lot of trouble with them. There we go. Come on now. Ideally, you'd probably want to leave the top one in so you don't have this thing falling out at you like this. Well, look at that. Alright, let's pull this out real quick. I have to move the key. No, I won't. To me, it's interesting. There's these little clips on here. I'm not sure if those are for weight purposes or not. Doesn't feel bad. Doesn't feel loose. Boy, was she a growler. I tell you what. I put it in my parts bin and I'll keep it in case the new one goes out. It's maybe original. It's made in Canada. So we'll just continue on putting this back together. Putting it on like it came off. Alright. If you've never done a lot of replacement parts, it's a wise idea to make sure all the hardware goes on loosely before you snug it all up, and then come to find out it's going to take a little bit of manipulation to get them all in. There's a hole. I don't think the hole's where it's supposed to be there, is it? Be right back. Alright, back here. Got a little pick. Trying to see if I just clogged the hole up or what. I'm not seeing it here. So, unfortunately, I think they indexed their holes wrong, because there is no hole here. Oh, I'm in the wrong spot. I'm in the wrong hole. Ah, fine job. Alright. Let's see here. That was in the wrong spot. And that's why you don't tighten stuff down all the way. As you can see, there's still a little bit of movement. I can catch that. Now I'm going to start with that. I'm going to drop my socket. Again, an annoyance of this ratchet. It's been well used. The little detent ball does not like to cooperate. Fortunately, I couldn't find my floppy head snap-on like I was looking for. So, a 3-inch extension. I lied. I'm going to get a little bit shorter one. Now to the other extreme end, on this Craftsman set I have, this extension does not like to let go of the tools. So now if I drop it, I just lose my extension and my socket. And I don't think I'm getting on that. Work fast. My battery looks like it's running low. It's not an ideal setup. Ooh, just like that. Alright, so that one is snug. I'm not going to get them super tight. So this is, I'm not sure if it's fiberglass or plastic, but it is not a super strong material. want to crack it, because it does not seem like it would be very fun to replace all this stuff. Not a lot of pressure, just a little bit. Snug. Alright, we got all of these in. I'll start on the electrical side of it. So then, on electrical parts, especially on these older vehicles, I like to give them a good cleaning. Just kind of rubbing it with some sandpaper. Doesn't really matter what grit. Don't, you're not looking to actually remove material, you're just looking to clean it up a little bit. Try to get it to make a good contact. Make sure both sides, that way you're giving it the best chance you can get, because a lot of these vehicles, the electrical parts are either horribly abused or they've never been touched, which can lead to issues. Finding issues is the next problem. Alright, so I'm going to go ahead and hook up, if I can here, this side of it. Hopefully that's halfway in. Okay. And I'm going to take a little bit of dielectric grease. This was a compressed one, and it didn't last very long for me. I'm going to try to get a little bit of it inside of here. Now this is to keep kind of moisture and whatnot out of there. You don't need it. I like to use it as a barrier against corrosion. It looks like this one's turned a little bit. There we go. That's on. Just wiped a bunch of dielectric grease all over the side of the vehicle. Trying to finagle myself here. Alright, now I'll put a little bit on here. That looks terrible because I can't manipulate my hands. Alright. It's always good to have a couple rags around because you're inevitably going to really make a mess if you're getting into grease. Alright, sorry about that. I'm going to move the camera back a hair here. Get a better view. If I'm sniffling a little too much, I'm sorry. It's like a 37-degree day. And with a 5 to 10 mile an hour gusty wind, or slight breeze, however you want to put it, picking up now. I don't remember quite how this goes, so... Oh, that's frustrating because now I can't see it down there. Alright, I guess I'm going to get a magnet tool because I just dropped the first thing. Unfortunately, the tool I have at my access right now is big, and I don't know where this exactly fell, so I might have to stop this video again and keep reaching up trying to feel it. See if I can find out which way it fell. So I'm guessing it fell this way and rolled down here along this hose. I'm not picking it up. I guess it fell somewhere I'm just not seeing. Trying to look around here. This is like the bane of every mechanic is dropping that one last screw or bolt or nut and not being able to find it. Extra parts come into play. Maybe it's down there. Maybe I just knocked it down. Let's look. Been hoping I could knock it out and knock it onto the ground out here where I can see it. It would have been way smarter for me to start this process by putting something down like a fender cover. That way, if it does fall down out here, it is visible. So, Not seeing it right now. Okay. Guess what? I found it. Hopefully this was the right one. Fits the socket, so I'm going to start this by hand this time. Again, I'm not quite sure how this went. Didn't stop the video. I just went out and got one of those dustless air cans. And, okay, it's grabbed in there. And then I went ahead and blew a bunch of compressed air down there because I don't have an air compressor hose long enough to reach where the truck is sitting at the moment. Hopefully that's not crooked, but they always say a cross-threaded is good as a weld. And again, this is why I really dislike this little ratchet set that I've got. I've had it for years. I've used it quite a bit, but you just barely bump that goofy thing and it basically puts the whole ratchet in neutral, where you have no throw either way, which is irritating, especially when you're trying to start something, because that's when it always seems to happen. And we're snug. Okay, so now another step a person could do is to go ahead and remove this bolt here, which is a ground as well. Clean that up, and then you wouldn't have really any ground issues at that point. So let's go ahead and hop in the truck and see how it sounds. Here we go. Either I screwed up or I fixed something. Dang, that sounds pretty good. And it works. I'm glad. Because that was getting real annoying. Because here's a cold start. If you haven't ever had a cold start, you're in for a treat. Oh. Yeah, and I have no tack. Oh, that is stiff. There we go. There's the pump. Now, of course, I got the hood open, so there's a little bit more vibration there. Cool. Clear it out because it's loading up. Now, when you're trying to listen to see if the truck's loading up and that blower motor is making all those noises, I had to open the door, which is not very fun to do when it's 0 degrees out, or well, anytime below freezing is not very fun. There we go. Kind of have to baby it, keep the idle up until it can get warm enough that the choke does its thing. Now, that could be resolved by actually just setting the choke. Now, I'm not sure why this one isn't set, because it's spent its entire life in this state. I'm third owner, and I know where it was bought, and it still has the dealership plaque on it from the town next over, actually the bigger town next over. So I'm not sure why, there you go. I'm not sure why it does that. Again, I'm also not very familiar with the heat style ones. But anyways, the end of the video, the blower motor works. You can now start the truck without having to open the truck door to listen to it. And I'll end the video here. Hopefully you can hear me because this thing's kind of loud.